Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Up the Guts podcast. Joining as always is your host, Trent Dealted. And geez, wasn't that a little bit of a strange round, may I say? We saw some upsets, we saw some competitive teams, we saw obviously the upset are the Blues back. We saw a leader for the first time, 57 years lead out the Collingwood Football Club in Nick Daicos. We saw a suspension to an inform, probably one of the only positive to the North Melbourne Football Club to date this season. Go down with 3 week suspension. So there's plenty to touch on this episode in the review, as we do 2 episodes a week now. Well, the first one I'll review the round and then I'll preview the round. But I got something special for you this week. Just this week, I've got a special 3rd episode dropping this week with a special guest that I hope you guys do enjoy. A bodybuilder who's just finished doing his show. So he's going to go over the highs and lows of bodybuilding prep show, because it can be a lonely time. But if you're new here, this is what we go over in the review one. So first of all, we review every round and then rank each team's performance on a tier list. I'll go over that tier list in a second. Then I go over my super coach and any final thoughts. Now I've decided to go over the tipping results and the tips in the preview section. So we'll do all that then. So you won't see that today. I'll go over then. It will just be the super coach. But if you're new to the channel, this is how we rank each team's performance. So first on the list, just bear with me one second, guys. So what I'm going to actually do, I might make it even bigger for you. Hang on. So, but as I'm doing that, the first tier at the top of the list, I'm just trying to, 175 should be good. All right, so top of the tier list is in fact excellent. So you've had an excellent performance. You're flag contenders. You're the top notch of the competition. Contenders is you're contending for finals if you keep playing like that. Decent is you've put in a good performance, but nothing that went wow. Disappointing, pretty self-explanatory, but that is not the bottom one. The bottom one is 5 a.m. St Kilda Beach. Now, you can hear the bit of the cold in my nose here. It's actually just crept onto me. I didn't have it before, funnily enough. And a swig of a bit of coconut no sugar. Yeah, with the beach, 5 a.m. at St Kilda Beach is the last place you want to be going. So those are the tier lists. Without further ado, let's get into my review of the round that had just gone, starting off with the Thursday night action between Melbourne and Richmond. Let's go. So starting off with Thursday night, Richmond did end up putting up a decent fight, but it was Melbourne who came away with the 20-point victory, all thanks to the skipper, Max Gawn, who was absolutely phenomenal. Multiple goal kickers for the Demons. You had Fritsch, Petty, Petrarca, and Chandler, all with 2. As for the Tigers, Tom Lynch kicked 3 and Taranto kicked 2. Disposal-wise, you had, as I just put my phone in a bit of a better spot so I can read it out, fiddle around if it wants to stay upright. Salem had 34. We'll just have to hold it. Salem had 34, going at 82% and 13 marks. Bowley, who's having a sensational start to this season, 39 marks and 5 clearances to go along with that as well. Petrarca back to hitting this, back to going good. Keep an eye out for you super coaches. He's still under 500k. He had 28, 2 goals and 9 score involvements. Langdon off that wing, 28 at 89% efficiency and a goal. Rivers, ultra consistent off the half back line, 28 going at 86% efficiency, 12 marks and 7 intercepts. I mentioned Gawn, but what a game this is. 25 disposals, 34 hitouts, 6 clearances, 9 marks and 12 score involvements. And that also won him the first Frank Checkers-Hughes medal for the best on ground in the Anzac Day Eve. No, sorry, not the first. Just that the night game. The night game between Fremantle and Adelaide is the first one for that medal. But yeah, Gawn, just another accolade to him after a big game last week too. Just leading his club by example. He did a sensational god. Thompson Dow went 28 to go on with 7 score enrollments, and Jaden Short 25 going at 92% efficiency and 596 metres gain. I mentioned Gawn winning the medal. Jake Bowley starting off the season sensationally well. I'd love to see him maybe make a step into the midfield. We saw a little bit of it Saw a little bit of it last week as he had the 5 clearances, but I'm interested to see him. But one player I was impressed with was Tom Sparrow's attack and brutality on the footy. Every time I looked up, it just looked like he was putting so much pressure around the ball carrier in the Demons forward half. He laid 11 tackles to go along with 16 disposals and a goal. Now, Tom Sparrow is one who's been on the fringe for Melbourne, so this was a real statement game, I think, to show he can play that half-forward role where he's just really in your face. So it's one to look forward to for Melbourne, and then he will eventually inject himself into the midfield. But this is another great little asset he can add to his game now, the tackling pressure in the forward half and locking the ball inside the 450. So I thought it was a really good game for Tom Sparrow. Speaking of tackles, none other than Jack Viney also was a brute, laying 15 tackles ago with 19 disposals. So Melbourne, I wouldn't get too excited. It was just decent. And Richmond, it was just decent because it wasn't disappointing. They only went down by 20 points as my lid is not on properly there. But they only went down by the 20 points. So it wasn't like a terrible performance. It wasn't a terrible performance whatsoever, but it wasn't a performance for Melbourne where I've gone, geez, they're back. Because I still think at the moment, that's better. I still think at the moment they're really struggling. So there's my ranking. Both of them can go in the decent category. Now let's move on to the Anzac Day clash between Collingwood and Essendon. My Pies getting the victory by 41 points, 16-11, 107, defeated 10-6, 66 by 41 points. Goal kickers Jamie Elliott popped up for 5 and Memory kicked 2. Nate Caddy, Wright and Durham all kicked 2 for the Bombers. Disposals wise, Josh Daicos continues his form of halfback. 36 disposals, 9 score on 761 metres gain. The Anzac Day medalists, and my tip, if you remember during the preview show, if you haven't, I'll clip it up if I have to, if you don't believe me, but I actually did put money on him too, gamble responsibly, chucked a tenner on him, paying $13. It came back my way, but side bottom, the Anzac Day medalists, 35 disposals, 22 contested. But the big one there is 15 clearances. Obviously, last year, everyone was questioning side bottom. Was he done? He's now 34. They had to push him back to halfback to get himself back with the ball in his hand, get him some momentum back into his game and some I wouldn't say confidence, but just get him more involved in the game. Now they've gone away from that and playing him generally as a standalone, as an inside midfielder. And look at that, 35, 22 contested, 15 clearances, 7 inside 50s, and 596 metres gained. This man in his first game as a standalone captain was also enormous, especially with that first goal. No better way to start it, in my opinion, when your first job as captain, when he unleashes a bomb from outside 50. How Essendon left him on his own, unguarded like that, is beyond me. But Nick Daicos had 31 to go along with a goal, 11 clearances, 7 tackles, 9 inside 50s, 2 goal assists, 9 score rollers, and 619 metres gained. And alongside Cybon, the other old boy, Pendlebury, was also huge, 31 and 9 score enrollments. Leading disposals for the Bombers, you had Roberts with 25 and Merritt also had 25, going on with 6 tackles, 8 inside 50s and 560 metres gained. Essendon put up a fight, but in the end of the day, it was Collingwood who overran them in the second half, and Collingwood has made a living out of the last few years now of doing that. Being the fittest team in the comp, they'll let you win, but once they need to put their foot down in the last quarter or the last, say, quarter and a bit, they'll do it, and good luck catching them because the likes of Daicos just runs all day. McQuarrie gets up the ground. Bobby Hill, who had a poor first half, really shone in the second half, I believe. Really shined in the second half. Jamie Elliott was enormous. Tim Membry, as he was, been good. Darcy Cameron had a good battle with Todd Goldstein, who wasn't terrible, I thought, but I think it was a pretty even battle in the end, in my opinion. Nick Daicos, first game of Skipper, as I mentioned, the youngest Pie in 57 years. Give him the captaincy now. He's ready to go. I think as soon as next year, Darcy Moore should be handing the captaincy down to Nick Daicos. He is ready to go. He speaks well. He leads by example out in the field, puts his team on his back. Because I think although Darcy Moore's been better this season defensively, I don't think he leads as a captain on the field. I think it needed in more of a Nick Daicos hand. That's just my personal opinion. With Moore's definitely be in the leadership group, but I don't know that number one captain role right now at this moment. Back when we won the flag, sure, Darcy Moore in 2020s, all that was cool. But I think right now that captaincy number one role has gone past Darcy Moore, and I think it should go to a Nick Daicos. And at the same time, I wouldn't be even mad if it went to a Braden Maynard. But I think Nick Daicos is the one to go. You give him the captain, he's going to be the captain for the next 10 plus years. So that's just my thoughts on that one. Bobby Hill goal was enormous. As I said, quiet first half. It really came into his own in the second half and kicked that magnificent goal. Sad story was, though, Dan Mckay has suffered a MCL injury. He just can't catch a break. And I think he's been really good for the Pies. He's going to be gone for at least 2 months, so that is not a good sign. But Collingwood, I thought they were excellent, and I thought the Bombers were decent, especially in that second half, that second quarter where they really came and Durham kicked 2 goals in a row. I thought they weren't terrible at all. I didn't think. Zach Reed's another one who was really good, and he's just getting better and better with more games he's playing under his belt. He's one shining light for Essendon to look forward to the future, to just hoping he can keep his body right. Because that's what's let him down over the years. He's a first-round draft pick. The only thing why he hasn't been playing is just because he hasn't been able to get his body right. Now, he's had a few runs at it now. I'm hoping that he can keep his body right and play out a full season and really build himself a first full season. Then Friday night, we had Fremantle v Adelaide, and it was the Dockers who got the job done by 18 points at Optus Stadium. 12-13-85, defeating 9-13-67. Tracy, Frederick, Amos, and Oscar McDonald kicked 2. As for the Crows, the tall Silthorpe 3, Walker 2. Brayshaw was enormous, winning was enormous in the middle, winning the first Arthur Leggett medal. So first medal for the Anzac Day Eve clash. He had 37 to go along with 6 clearances, 5 tackles. Sarong had 32 with a ball inside, 19 contested, 10 clearances, and 8 score moments. Clark had 27 off halfback, and Johnson also had 27 off halfback. Where the Crows lacked was through that midfield, and Laird was the highest disposal getter off halfback with 27. The biggest thing, I think, if Freo play like this, I don't know what's going on here. Oh, whoa. There we go. If Freo play like this, they are 100% in the contender spot. I thought they were really good. I just thought they were really impressive. And I don't know. I kind of want to put... the Crows in disappointing, but I'm going to put the Crows in disappointing. It's a tough call, but Freo came out and made a statement, kicking 6 goals in the first quarter. You just thought, wow, why don't they do this every week? To attack the corridor. If you haven't listened, go back and listen to, there's some link at John Longmuir, the way he talked to his players, saying he wants them to take the game on. Don't be indecisive of it, because that's what gets him in trouble. If you're going to be indecisive of it, that's going to get you in trouble. If you see something, take the game on. And I think there's no reason with the talent that Fremantle Dockers had that they shouldn't be doing that, and they will be able to execute that, I believe. Sean Darcy bounced back after some criticism on his performance against Max Gorn last week in his second game back now. He had 36 hit-outs, 5 clearances, and 5 tackles. I thought he really bounced back in a good way. Riley Silthorpe was also a threat, booting 3 goals before leaving the field in the third quarter with a finger issue. Not sure. Haven't really heard anything else on that, so I don't know if it's anything to worry about. Obviously, Darcy Fogarty already going down, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes about. But let's move on to the Saturday game, starting off with St Kilda v Brisbane at Marvel, and it was the Lions who won the game by 45 points, 11-7-73, defeated by 17-16, 118. Goal kickers, Eric Kipwood kicked 4, Bailey and Neal kicked 3, Morris also kicked 2, Higgins kicked 3 for the Saints, and he's actually equal second to Coleman. He's having a sneaky good start to this year. Brad Hill led the way for disposals for the Saints with 33. Wanganeen Malira, 32. A goal to go along with a goal and 682 metres gained. Sinclair had 29. Steele had 29, 19 contested, 9 clearances and 6 tackles. And Mckay had 26 to go on, 8 clearances. Will Trosh was again really good, 35, 83% efficiency, 9 inside 50s. Zorko had 34, 9 marks, 7 rebound 50s, 656 metres gained. Neal was a live wire, 31, and something you don't always see for Neal, which is 3 goals going with 5 clearances. And 12 score involvements. Wilmot, who I think is a star in the making, he had 30, going at 83% efficiency, 7 marks and 9 steps. I think Darcy Wilmot is one to look out for. I've been on him for a couple of years now, but he's just getting better and better as the years go on. I think he's one to look out for as one of the best halfbacks in the game, possibly running halfbacks to look out for in the next 5 to 10 years. But before we get on to the talking points, Brisbane, excellent. And St Kilda, you are disappointing. You're just disappointing. You're not quite 5 a.m. St Kilda Beach. Zach Bailey continues his electric form with 4 goals from his 24 disposals. I thought Lachie Neale was huge, as I mentioned, as he went head-to-head with Jack Steele. 3 goals you don't normally see, and he's just such an impact. Ross Lyon made the sub call just 12 minutes into the second quarter, taking off Hugo Garcia for Zach Jones. Was an interesting call and didn't back down in the questions in the post-match press conference, taking the journalist to town a bit, but the props to the journalist who responded in a good way as well. But it was an interesting call. He brought them on, Zach Jones. I think he was trying to get him to go to Lachie Neale, but obviously didn't really work as much. But the thing about Ross, he has the balls to make the move, and he'll stand by his call every day of the week. But it was a road call, considering not long after, I think in the next quarter, Mason Wood did go down with concussion, so they couldn't use the sub, which means they'll one rotation down on the bench. And Lohman also did his left shoulder. Just can't catch a break at the moment, Lohman. The other game on the Saturday during the day was Port Adelaide v North Melbourne, and was actually a really good game at the Adelaide Oval. It was, in the end, Port Adelaide who got the job done just by 9 points. 14-13, 97, defeated 13-10, 88. Darcy Byrne-Jones kicked the 3. Georgiades kicked 2. Lord kicked 2. Richards kicked 2. Pow Pepper, Rioli, Rosie, and Horn Francis Finlayson, single goal kickers. As for the Kangaroos, I mentioned Paul Curtis is having a great start to the year. I think he's in the All-Australian team as we speak. Kicked the 3. Zerhard kicked 2. Rosie had 27 to go along with a goal, 7 marks, 8 intercepts, and 721 metres gained, just making that half-back line his own. He's run and carry. Horn Francis, we'll touch on him soon, had 27, a goal, 6 clearances. Butters also had 27, going with 5 clearances, 13 tackles as well. Sheasel had 30, going at 8 rebound 50s and 604 metres gained, continuing to play a bit more off half-back. Parker, 27 and a goal. Davis Uniac had 25, 18 contested, a goal to go on with 11 clearances. Now, I think they both... I think they both go on contenders after that performance, because I was actually really impressed with North Melbourne. Just couldn't get the job done in the end. Plenty of tension between Jason Horn-Francis and former teammates. With that, it was just plenty of tension. We saw him go off at Jai Simpkin. And then Jai Simpkin, then there was a scuffle happened. Ken Hinkley, Zach Butters, Connor Rhodes, he had a chat with him at the 3/4 time break. It looked like he went to walk off. Zach Butters pulled him back in. But I think that's just what you're going to get with Jason Horn-Francis. He's the ultimate competitor. This will only get better as he gets older, I think. As he gets older, he'll mature. But at the moment, He's just so competitive. Let's not forget, he's coming up against a club that he walked out on after just a year after they drafted him as the number 1 draft pick. He walked out in the club after just one season. So let's just not forget that there is tension, there is history there. Of course, it's going to bottle over there. But I think we just need to cool the jets of Horn fans at the moment because he's still performing out in the field. Port start off in dominant fashion, kicking 7 goals, 3 in the opening term, which is their highest scoring quarter of the year. So props to North Melbourne for fighting back and bringing it back that much. Paul Couturier continued to prove why he's the standout player for North. 3 goals, 16 disposals and 5 tackles. But he has received a 3-game suspension for his tackle on Josh Sim, which left him concussed. Now, I want to pull that up for a second in my own viewing. I don't think I'll be allowed to show it on the YouTube clip, but my apologies. But there is not much I don't think that Paul Curtis could have done here. Let's see. Yes, okay. Let me pull it up. It might play through here.
Means there should be an extra North man on the ground. Berry went hard. Caught from behind Sim.
And watch it for... There is not much... There is not much he could have done here. I'm just getting it up here. So as I watch it.
Means there should be an extra North man on the ground. Berry went hard. Caught from behind Sim. And cheese grated into the deck. He's going to have to pick the grass out of his teeth before he kicks this one.
He had him cold and he's ridden him into the ground, hasn't he?
It wasn't deliberate, though, was it? But he just sort of had the momentum. Very hard to fall to the side when you're doing it.
Okay, try and turn him when you're coming from behind, and he couldn't do that, unfortunately. Oh, that would not have tickled.
I think
hey guys, well, that's got
saying the MRO grading needs a bit more of a look at because there's no way that could have been a 0 or a 3. At the moment, it's like if you concuss a player, you're guaranteed a 3. So as soon as he was concussed, there was nothing Paul Curtis could have really done. I mean, there was no other outcome that could have happened to Paul Curtis in 3 weeks. They will take it as a tribunal. I hope he gets off because incidents like that are always going to happen. As I keep saying, it's a contact sport. Things and incidents, injuries are going to happen. Luke Parker, 300 games, and what a star he has been. He's 20. Go through some of his accolades. 2012 Premiership player. 2 times AFL MVP, AFLPA Most Courageous award back-to-back. That was 2. 3 times Sydney BNF and a 5 times Brett Kirk medalist for best on ground VGWS in the Battle of the Bridge game. And he kicked 300 goals in his career. Just a player that, you know, for Sydney and our North, puts his head over the ball and puts his head over the ball so courageous as he got them 2-time Most Courageous award. But it's just a player you'd love to play with because you know he's going to go head over heels, hard as a cat's head at the ball. But he's also what's the word? He's also pretty creative around the goals as he kicked the 300 goals as well. So it's going in a goal a game. But there's been games where he's kicked 3 or 4 and you just sit there and go, geez, you've pulled out some crumbing work, some snaps. It's just, yeah, he's had a really good career, Luke Parker, and hats off to him. The way he's going, he's got another year in him. Now we move to the Saturday night game, and this could have been the statement and the upset of the round, in my opinion. GWS v Western Bulldogs at Manuka Oval, so it was in Canberra, but the Dogs got a job done by 32 points. 12-9-81, defeated by 17-11, 113. For the Giants, Riccardi kicked 3, Toby Green 2, Hogan 2, and Bedford 2. For the Bulldogs, Harms on his return had kicked 4, Riley West kicked 3, Rory Lobb going forward kicked 2. Obviously, the absence of Sam Darcy. Kennedy also kicked 2. For the Giants, Ash had 31, got at 94% efficiency, 7 rebound 50s, and 542 metres gain. Whitfield had 30 and 11 marks. Green, 27, a goal, 7 clearances, and 7 score involvements. Callahan had 26 at 81% efficiency, 7 score runs, 576 metres gain. Libero Torre had 28, 5 clearances. Richards, who I think is probably their most impactful midfielder at the moment behind Montempelli, had 27, 9 clearances and 704 metres game. Joel Frazier is just getting better and better. He's going. The kid is only 19. Can you believe it? 27 disposals, 19 contested and 9 clearances. Kennedy had 26, 2 goals and 7 clearances. One of the pickups of the year, in my opinion. He's one of the top 5 pickups of the season. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. Bulldogs, that is an excellent performance. And for the GWS Giants, that is very disappointing. In the grudge match like that, to go down by 41 points, I thought was just a disappointing performance. James Harmes, as I mentioned, impressed on his return with 4 goals and 22 disposals. Bontempelli had his usual impact, 22 disposals, 15 contested, 8 clearances, 4 goal assists, that's huge, and 10 score onwards, before being managed with the sub-vest for the final turn. So I imagine that could have been a 28 disposal, 30 disposal game. For Bontempelli, as he came on, mentioned Joel Frazier starring as a midfielder, played his first season at a half-back. Now he's moved into the midfield as a big-body midfielder, standing at 195 centimetres, just getting better and better as the year goes on. The pickup of Matt Kenny, I mentioned, I think could possibly be one of the top 5 pickups of the season. Just an extra grunt around the ball, and has shown he can go forward and impact the scoreboard as well. I think Carlton will be missing the fact that Matt Kenny is not there, although they have found some form as of the last few weeks, 3 in a row now for Carlton. Jake Riccardi was a shining light for the Giants. I thought 3 goals, 16 disposals, and 16 hitouts. And Joe Buslinger looked okay on debut. I thought it's got shown up a few times on defensive efforts, but he had 12 disposals, 83% efficiency, 4 marks, and 5 intercepts. Now we move on to the Sunday games. Sunday games, we have Gold Coast v Sydney at People First Stadium. It was Gold Coast getting the job done by 38 points in the end, but Sydney did put up a fight and looked like they might have been winning this game, but it was Gold Coast with just too much power in the end. 17-15, 117, defeating 12-7, 79, 38 points. Ben King kicked 5, Bailey Humphrey, who was enormous, kicked 4, Walter 3, Rioli 2 as well. Blakey for the Swans kicked 3, which is unusual for Blakey. Swung forward a bit in the second half. Campbell kicked 2, and Chad Warner also kicked 2. Noble has been one of the pickups of the season, along with Matt Kennedy. Had 30 going with 584 metres gained. Miller 24, 6 clearances and 10 score involvements. McInerney for the Swans had 29. Lloyd 28. Roberts 28. Chad Warner had 26, 2 goals, 6 clearances, 6 tackles, 690 metres gained. So that's more of the Chad that we know, in my personal opinion, not the ones we've seen for the start this year so far. The Suns' second half avalanche kicked 12 consecutive goals. As I mentioned, it looked like the Swans had the upper hand on them in the first part of the game, but then in the second half, the Suns just came out and showed them why they are seriously, in my opinion, they're going to play finals this year. And could they possibly be a flag contender? I don't know yet, but they showed why. They showed why they were the better team on the day. As I mentioned, Bailey Humphrey was electric with 4 goals, 18 disposals, 5 clearances, and 11 score involvements, showing what type of centre forward role he can play, going in at centre bounces, and then impacting the scoreboard there. But I mean, quick intermission for a little toilet break there, as I'm keeping hydrated, you can see here. But yeah, Bailey Humphrey showing the centre forward role that Damien Hardwick has said he sees in him. He sees him like that Dustin Martin type role. So Bailey Humphrey's been some games this year so far, and then he's had some off games. I'm hoping he can put that consistent footy together, and it's scary for the competition. James Rowbottom had the better of the head-to-head battle with Matt Rowell before Matt Rowell wrestled back late in the game. But to make it a bit more even, Rowbottom 20 disposals, 12 contested, 6 tackles, 8 clearances. Rowell had 16 disposals, a goal, 8 tackles, and 5 clearances. While Ben Patton suffered a calf injury, the only injury to note there. Gold Coast Sun, excellent. Sydney Swans, decent for me. They're really struggling. Now, the other game, Carlton go straight in excellent, and Geelong go in decent. I wouldn't write them off just yet. But it was Carlton getting the job done by 18 points, 14-10, 94, defeated 12-4, 76. Curnow kicked 3, Mckay 3, Fogarty 2. And for the Geelong Cats, we had Jeremy Cameron with 4, Dempsey kicked the 2. Walsh had 30, going 80%. Hewitt 29, 86% efficiency, 5 clearances and 8 tackles. A goal on the goal. Cripps 29, 8 clearances, 9 tackles. Chera 25, and Elijah Hollins 25 and a goal. Bailey Smith struggled a bit in the first half, then pushed more to the half-forward line. Had 29, a goal, 9 tackles, 749 metres gain. Mano, I thought, was enormous in the midfield. 26 disposals, 7 clearances, 11 tackles, and 566 metres gain. Harry Mckay stars in his return with 3 goals, 19 disposals, and 12 marks, and it was just so good to see. It reminds you what a star player Harry Mckay is, and it was so good to see in his post-match press conference say that he actually enjoyed it out there. The Carlton team is better when Harry Mckay and Charlie Curnow are playing together. Let's not forget, Harry Mckay won a Coleman. He's over 200 centimetres tall, but he's athletic and he's agile and he's quick off the mark and can hold on to a good mark. So 12 marks out of 9 disposals is the best return. And I'm just great that he's finally back enjoying his footy. Someone who's not going to be there is Zach Williams, who went down with a calf injury in the first quarter, which is not good. Because he hasn't been able to keep his body right since coming to Carlton on big money. Jack Silvani also did a good job in his role on the informed Patrick Dangerfield, keeping him to just 13 disposals, 1 goal. But the most important thing I think there is just the 2 marks. But he has need surgery on a hand. It has been tweeted out today, so that is not a good sign for Carlton. Now we move on to the last game. The last game was Hawthorn v West Coast, and there's not much to talk about, I don't think, in this game, other than Hawthorn got a dub done by 50 points. Gunston kicked 4, Chol kicked 3, McDonald, Ginnivan kicked 2, Ryan kicked 3, Reid and Waterman kicked 2. Battle at 29, Huswaite had 24 in his game coming in. Warple had 24, Marrick had 25, Baker had 24. The Wayward Hawks, though, had 10 scoring shots in the first quarter, but could only convert to 2 goals, 8. So that's a bit disappointing for them. So for that fact, I'm going to put them in contenders, and I'm just going to put West Coast in disappointing. So no one's going to have to go to the beach this way. The one thing I will say, why is Oscar Allen playing fullback for the whole game? I'm just thinking that's really disrespectful as your captain. He's your best. You need him and Waterman playing in the same forward line. But yeah, I thought that was a bit disrespectful. Jack Ginnivan, I was really impressed with in his return, making his statement after being dropped to the VFL. He came back, worked hard all day, had 2 goals, 17 disposals. And one thing you don't see with him that much is his tackle pressure. He laid 7 tackles to go along with 9 score elements. Scrimshaw had a concussion, and Amon also had a concussion. Well, there you have it, guys. There is my preview of the round 7 that had just passed. Now, let's quickly go over the ladder. Then we'll quickly go across So the ladder at the moment, as we stand, we'll just read out the top 8. We have Collingwood, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Hawthorn, Adelaide, GWS, Geelong, and the Bulldogs. But also on the same wins, Freo in 9th, Port in 10th, and coming hard is in the 11th, Carlton, who have a percentage of 20.4. Let's go over my rankings. So in the excellent column, I've got Collingwood, Brisbane, Western Bulldogs, Gold Coast Suns, and Carlton. Contenders, I've got Fremantle, Port Adelaide, North, and Hawthorn. I was just impressed with North's performance there. Just couldn't get the win in the end. Melbourne, decent. Melbourne, Richmond, Essendon, Sydney, and Geelong. Disappointing for me was the Adelaide Crows, St Kilda, GWS Giants, and the West Coast Eagles. We'll quickly have a look at the Supercoach comp for the Up the Guts League. We'll just lead out the top 8 as we look at it. We go over to the leagues. Top 8 as it stands. James Bailey Sniff is on top. Right, Wizard, 2nd. Newcomb, 23. 3rd. Dad Kisser, 4th. Mavs team, 5th. Pint of Guinea, 6th. 7th in it to win it. And 8th, I round out the 8th spot in Tricky. But that's going to wrap up this week's episode, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. As I said, make sure to stay tuned for the preview one that will drop on Wednesday evening. And then the Friday, we will be dropping the special guest episode that we recorded on the weekend just gone. But if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, make sure to like this video, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss an upload, click the follow button, and please leave a 5-star rating, as that's what does help get the show out there. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like and comment on this video, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, race to 200 subscribers, and As always, as I always say, guys, until next time, I'll see you guys then.